Hey there, garden friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. Today is Sunday, April 10th, and I'm taking you on an April garden tour. Good morning. We've been gone for a whole week in Seattle, so seeing the garden last night when we got home was like, wow! I mean, so much changed. One thing to note is that this week we're going to be in normal temperatures, actually a little bit below normal. We're going to be highs of 55 and lows of 45. And this past week, while we were gone, we hit 90 a couple days. So it was a bit rough on the plants because a lot of the spring flowering annuals really dislike the heat, as you can imagine, because they overwinter here. And so once the heat kicks in, they kind of stop producing. So I've been a little anxious because my CSA begins on Tuesday, and tomorrow is my harvest day, and I was hoping to have tons of ranunculus to harvest. I think I still will, but you'll see things have really blown open. So today I'm going to do a kind of a weed out harvest where I take everything that is beyond the point that can go in a bouquet, but would be perfect in the house. So I'm going to do that today so that then tomorrow when I come out, I know exactly what I can cut and it'll go pretty fast. So this garden tour is actually going to be in two parts. The first part today is going to be the before. This garden needs a lot of cleanup. I need to deadhead and weed, etc. So what you're going to see today is what it looks like before I do all that. And then I'll do another video after I do all that. I'm hoping to get that done today, tomorrow, the next day. We are, cross your fingers, going to get some rain tomorrow, which is extremely exciting because technically we're moving into our dry season. So I probably won't be able to do any outside stuff tomorrow, but we'll see. So with all that being said, let's go on an April garden tour. Okay, we're going to start this morning at the cut flower garden / farm. Really tiny, but I still call it a farm. So you see all these narcissus, all the daffodils. Beautiful. There's still a few that haven't opened, but for the most part they've all opened and a lot of them are past their prime. So I need to deadhead all of those, and then the greens will stay. We leave the greens on the daffodils and your tulips if you are trying to perennialize tulips, which is really hard in a zone 9. But the leaves will stay because they photosynthesize and feed the bulbs below the soil so that they can then come back next year. Look at the tulips. I mean, they are magnificent. These guys have like a 36-inch stem. It is crazy. I love being able to look down inside of them too. So cool. But I really do love this pink on the edges here. I cannot remember the variety. I apologize. And then these yellow ones, look, they have like a red edge and a dark center. Obviously these white ones have gone over, but I still have a whole bunch of parrots here and some other varieties getting ready. So my CSA members will have a bunch. These make me think of peppermint candies. And then these beautiful orange tulips are just wonderful. And look at these orange parrots. Actually, those are not parrots. Those are fringed tulips. They look amazing. The garlic is looking amazing. Look how tall it is. I'm suspecting we're going to get scapes in the next, probably by the end of May, we'll have scapes. And then I'll do a video on what scapes are, how you can use them, how you can eat them. Pomegranate tree coming into its own. It's leafed out. Hopefully we'll get some fruit on it this year. But you can see how much weeding I need to do. I need to come in here with my hoe and just cultivate all this stuff down. Back there is the grape. And I hope we're actually going to get some fruit on it this year. This is its second year in this location. It's looking super healthy and happy. Then we've got our thornless blackberry, one of 3. You can see going down the pathway there. These are just extra ranunculus corms that I had. I just popped them in the ground, but you can see some of them are already blown open. So like this is beautiful, but too far gone to put into a bouquet because then the customer would only get a couple days out of it. However, this and that And this, great for picking because then they will open for the customer and they'll get a nice long vase life. But boy, are they pretty. This ranunculus, all the ranunculus I planted actually were a mix, and so I have a bunch of different colors. And then the blueberry bushes, loaded with berries. I need to net them so I get to keep the berries and not the birds. Our peas are doing great. Potatoes are doing great. And then there's this other tulip patch. So most of it's done, and that's okay. It's actually kind of good because I need to come in here and clean this out because I've got vegetables that need to go in the ground. But you can see these beautiful pink parrots here. So pretty. And I like this one too. It's got these little stripes, like somebody took a paintbrush and just brushed on a little bit of white. And I love these black ones. They're not really black, they're like a deep dark purple, but they are gorgeous. And then over here, our agrostemas coming along, and look at the bachelor buttons. This also was a mix. Last year I grew only blue, these guys, and this is actually the stage you want to harvest them in. Even better, this stage. They last a lot longer in the vase, but they're starting to bloom too, so that's exciting. Sweet Annie coming along. This is just a filler for me. In the pollinator patch, one of the lavenders is going crazy. This one flowers early and then doesn't flower again in the season. The Dahlia that I cut back, coming on strong. And then of course our climbing roses. Here's a rose right there. Now, it's got aphids. I don't usually bother doing anything about aphids unless they are completely decimating my plant. But a plant this size, a few aphids on the buds, no big deal. The plant can deal with that. So if they really bother you, just take a hose, squirt them all off. You do that for a couple of days and you'll knock the whole population back. Oh boy. Okay, so this is kind of gross. Let me hold it still here. It's very windy today. We're going to have gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Look at that. That is aphids. Now, probably what I'll do in that case, I'll just cut, since I didn't prune this hedge, I'll just come out here and I'll probably just cut off those stems because this climber will go bonkers this year. So just removing those, I'll just cut them off and put them in the compost. No big deal. Okay. So we've got a bunch of our perennials starting to come back. Don't look like much yet, but they will. This back here is a liatris. I have a bunch of those in here. They are going to give us a nice spike of white flowers. And then over here, we've got plums. Yes. Let's hope. Oh, every one of these branches has plums. So if things go well, I will be thinning this so that we get a handful of really good big plums instead of just a bunch of tiny ones. And then again, the blueberry bushes are setting fruit. I mean, tons and tons of flowers, and so they're setting fruit now. This pear tree hasn't started producing fruit yet, but that's okay because it usually does it a little bit later, but it looks good. Healthy leaves, nice and green. Our apples have leafed out. I still don't know if I'm going to get any fruit on these this year. We will see. This is the one that I moved. I relocated it in the middle of the winter and it's doing fine. All right, more filler. This is Amimagus, I believe. We'll see when it gets bigger. That's borage under there. I can probably uncover it now. Here's the ranunculus bed. Oh, y'all, it's crazy. So look at these beautiful blooms. Now we have floating row cover here. Griffin was wonderful and took care of this for me while I was gone, but because Ranunculus tend to go dormant once it gets into, you know, high temperatures, I didn't want that to happen. So we tried to keep the soil cool by keeping the bed covered during the day on those really hot days, and then watering early in the mornings to cool down the soil. So I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to come in and harvest all these guys that are already open today and bring them into the house to enjoy them. But there are still plenty that are not yet open. Look at those, are perfect, that I can pick for my CSA customers. So I'm really pleased with this. If you'll remember, back in December, I had rodents come through here and eat every single plant down to a nub. I didn't think any of them were going to come back, and they have. The majority of them have. Again, this was a mix of Ranunculus. Look at those guys. Those are just stunning. So I can't wait to put bouquets together with this, and we have tons of blooms still coming. So this week of cool weather will really help keep them going. So I'm really happy because I've got lots of stuff to harvest. Look at that apricot one. Oh, so pretty. And those light peach colors. Gorgeous. So lots and lots of Ranunculus. I'm really, really happy. The snapdragons, they're doing great too. Look at them. Just growing tall. This is one plant right here. I pinched it when it was about 6 inches tall, and now it's got multiple stems, and it's about to start blooming in the next couple weeks. These short ones are just the plugs that I planted, and they're doing great too. They're getting real tall. Our Amaranth over here is doing okay. The problem though is, I had this problem last year too. See, it's already starting to flower. Now, that's way too short. We want our Amaranth to get much bigger. So I think it's time to pinch those, convince them to grow more stems and get taller. Oh, hello, little lizard. So there are yarrow back here, and they look excellent. More snapdragons. And then here, just a rogue calendula that popped up in the scabiosa patch. That was probably seed from last year because I didn't plant it. So this succession of scabiosa is a little bit behind this one because it was 2 different plantings. But we are going to have some nice scabby out here. Over here, feverfew. And the first succession of feverfew. Look how huge it is! I'm excited. I cannot wait to start using this for bouquet filler. It's going to be loaded with flowers. Back to the scabby. And the snapdragons looking amazing. You can see here the difference in colors, right? So here is, this is like a light yellow, and this one has a red stem. So they're going to be 2 different colors of snapdragons. I think that's really cool. Another succession of feverfew, straw flowers. Straw flowers coming on. Look at this guy's an early achiever here. More snapdragons, and the status is bursting. Not ready for harvesting yet because you really want those flowers to totally open, but tons of stems on this status. I'm stoked. It's such a lovely plant for drying and for bouquet work. Here's another straw flower that's coming out. This is all straw flowers here. Look at this nigella. Tall, tall, tall stems for nigella. The foliage is just gorgeous. Nigella is so cool. You can use it as foliage, you can use it as the flower, you can use it as the seed pods. It's just so cool. There's 3 different varieties in here, and I can't wait to see them. The stalk. Now, this needs to be deadheaded, but it's still pumping. I have a lot more shorter stems in there that are great. They'll keep delivering as long as it doesn't get too hot. This is Docus, I think. I did label them, but the labels are gone somehow. Orlea, bloomin' Orlea. So I can use these this week as a secondary or filler flower. So pretty. And then the dahlia bed is going to be planted with dahlias this week. So that means all these gorgeous calendula have to come out. But I'm going to dig up every plant that I can and bring it to the ranch and replant it because they're so pretty. And the ones that I planted there now are great, but they are still very tiny. So I can put all of these in the ground in those prepared beds and enjoy them while we wait on the others to start blooming. The rest of this bed just has volunteers from last year, some docus and stuff. So I'm going to cultivate this bed, meaning take my hoe, break everything up, get rid of the weeds. Then I'm going to plant the dahlias, and I'll actually walk you through that in a separate video. Now the peonies. Look how huge. Loaded with blooms. So, so pretty. So when you get them in bigger buckets, then you actually get a lot more blooms because it's a bigger plant to start with. But look at the size. I cannot wait to see how these come out. So fewer on this one, and that's okay. And then the yarrow back here. Look at how healthy and lush. So the quote-unquote weeds that you see growing in there, it's not really a weed. That's St. John's wort. I've got it all down here. This whole patch where I have my flower garden, this entire bed, whole fenced-in area was pretty much St. John's wort before we cleaned it all out. So it's still on the creek bank, and it's still, sneaks in, and that's okay. I just take it out where I see it, but it comes off of runners, and so it's kind of hard. But they have beautiful flowers, and actually my friend Gina at Wise Blends, if you want to order some of her amazing soaps and other products, she uses fresh St. John's wort flowers in some of her production. And so I'm going to try this year to catch them when they're ready and have her come over and harvest as many flowers as she can. It takes a lot, as you can imagine, to make a single product, but any little bit that I can provide where she doesn't have to buy it, we will do. Next, we're just going to walk along the front walk. Everything's exploding here as well. This is lovely mock orange. Oh my goodness, if you could smell this right now. It's amazing. This shrub, I think, needs a whole lot more sun than it gets. So it kind of struggles. Loropetalum finished blooming, and I love this deep purple color. Such a pretty foliage. Kind of hard with the sun here, but our Japanese maples have totally leafed out. Look at that. That's one plant. And then this gorgeous tree. And then the red bud, which I absolutely love, just looking amazing. I really screwed up because I did not transplant it when it was dormant. So it'll be okay, but it may drop all of its leaves. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Azaleas still coming along. I need to deadhead. You see all those brown flowers? That just looks awful. So I'd like to come through. Here's the pink, hot pink and white together. Over here, as you can see, lots of daffodils need to be deadheaded. That pink azalea needs to be cleaned up too. But the ground cover is just exploding. There's a hellebore back there. I'm so happy that this ground cover is filling in. Look at how beautiful and red that azalea is. And our Japanese maple here, completely filled out. Just gorgeous color. So the azaleas still waiting. Most of them have not bloomed yet. The white ones have. And then we've got these amazing camellias. So the way whoever designed the azalea and camellia display here did a really nice job because they don't come on all at once. They come on over the course of about 4 months in different colors. So it's really cool. So all the deadheading I need to do, but that's okay. Silver sheen pittosporum looking amazing. Red twig dogwood completely leafed out, and there's also a butterfly bush. I'm sorry, not a butterfly bush. That's a milkweed growing up in the middle of it. Hellebor's dying back a little bit because we got that hot weather. But look at how the ground cover is spilling over the rocks. This is what I wanted it to do. I'm so happy with this. We've got lavenders in here, and they smell amazing. Not flowering yet, but smell absolutely amazing. The foliage. That three bunch of lavender there in front of the pittosporum. And catmint, that's nepeta. It's going to get purple flowers on it. And then look at the monkey flower. That's all the self-seeded from that one plant that was there. The red twig dogwood coming into flower over there. Euphorbia looking glorious with all of its blooms. And Artemisia coming back from winter. So all of this stuff is going to continue to fill in. And again, this hellebore is still producing. Look how pretty. Again, all of the spikes, all the leaves from the daffodils are going to stay here until they brown and die back. Then we'll know that the bulbs are fully recharged. And once all the foliage is dead, we just cut off the foliage, and then they'll be dormant until next spring. But it might look a little shaggy in a while because of the brown foliage, but that's cool. It's all right. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Still with just the white, there's a little bit of purple bloom in there. And this one's just starting to open up, this azalea. So pretty. This is our tiny little Japanese maple here too. We had to cut it back a little bit because our meter, water meter is right there, that cement cap. And so the meter reader was having a hard time getting to it because the Japanese maple was taken over. Jade bushes, finished flowering. Really should get these guys in the ground somewhere. They've been in these pots for about 7 years, including this one over here. And then the pansies going crazy in these containers. Boxwood needs to be trimmed again into a little lollipop. The lamium that I planted is already spreading. It's looking great. Here's a nice green Japanese maple that's fully leafed out. Pretty azalea right there. And then the star jasmine vine. Look at it. It is absolutely loaded. It smells amazing right here. It's going to keep growing so that it covers this entire pergola. But just amazing. So nice. And then this pot, again, this is 100% shade all the time. It needs water, I can tell. But this is a heuchera here that is in bloom. And we've got a fern, and this is another jasmine here. All right. Backside wall. Again, this is the wall that the kitchen faces. Lamium spreading and doing great. Look at the lobelia is in bloom all the way down here. It looks so pretty. So this whole front piece is going to fill in really fast. We have to address the water issue here. We have a pop-up sprinkler like right in here. They're all along this wall, pop-up sprinklers, but they can only go so far back. And there's sprinklers back there, but the pipe broke. It's under the fence, so we can't really repair it ourselves. And so we can't turn that zone on. And so we need to fix that soon because come summer, the trees are going to need the water. This is all wild geranium growing there around that redwood. More lobelia flowers. Heuchera, the caramel variety, which I think is so pretty. This is more lobelia and lamium. We have two types of lamium in here, Orchid Frost and White Nancy. And look at that Heuchera. Happy, it came back. It's nice and big. Those will start spreading through here too now that we have better soil. Another Heuchera. And our decorative grasses here, those will get bigger. They kind of blend in right now, but, and then there's a, so far, one of the only astilbes popping up. That one's all leafed out now. Leaf stalks doing good. just loaded with strawberries. Can't wait to eat these. Let's see if I can turn this guy with one hand. So again, I rotate these a half turn every day so that they get direct sun on both sides. This is all loaded with cilantro and lettuces, tatsoi, chard, and also clearly tatsoi that went to seed. So I just had it out here so the bees could have some of those flowers. These tulips are done, and that's cool. We'll just take them out of the crates, and crates will be ready for next year. Look at that explosion of flowers. All these ranunculus. Just gorgeous. So again, the ones that are really open are coming into the house, and the ones that haven't opened yet are going to my CSA customers this week. But just this pot alone has so many. Then you go down here, and this one's full too. So it's good timing because I will continue to harvest off of these 2 pots until all the ranunculus have been picked. And then I'll clean the pots out, clean these pots out, and they get planted up with summer annuals. A lot of crap in the pool because we're getting a lot of winds today. Ferns are coming back. So they get really huge. So last time you saw this area, it was pretty barren, but these ferns die back every year, and they also come back in the springtime. So pretty soon that rock and the pump and everything will be completely covered by ferns. Loropetalums here. Purus japonica, which is this nice bright pop of color in the back. Still trying to decide what to do with this guy. He had really bad mites, and I've treated it multiple times. It does terrible inside, but it's really not supposed to be outside. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is Fire Island hydrangea. I love the leaves on there, and the flower heads are huge, enormous red flower heads. Need to do some deadheading here, but the pansies are still going well, and this jasmine that I planted last year is starting to climb really well, and it's going to produce us some blooms. This is more hardy geranium over here. I love this little blush bed. And then the euchera bed. They're starting to bloom, sending up nice flower stalks. I love all these colors. I want to fill this out with even more. There's a Chinese lantern flower here, and still this hellebore producing. Then we're coming to the greenhouse. These containers I planted at Christmas, still going strong, looking great. I'm just going to leave them there until they start to look like they're suffering, and I'll replace them with some summer annuals. These guys, obviously exploding. There is a tiny, if it doesn't get choked out, yeah, it may not come back. There is a tiny limelight hydrangea in there, really small, like a plug size. These are limelights. Completely leafed out again, looking great. Oh, and look at the cyclamen on this one, just got huge. Those tulips all blown open, ready to get out of those pots, and the pots will have something new. And then in here, we've got all kinds of stuff going on. So the Dahlia, these are pre-sprouted. They are enormous, very ready to go in the ground. I've got to do that this week. This is all Baptisia. Gonna pinch it all so that it gets bushier. These are going to be form a hedge for us along the front walk. More Dahlia tubers, pre-sprouted. So some of these are going to go into gallon pots and be sold for Mother's Day, but the others are going in the ground. Then up here we have, I need to water these guys. It's hard to see the tags, but we've got Amimagus and Daucus and zinnias and coreopsis and bluebells and just all kinds. And I think this is the eucalyptus. Silver dollar eucalyptus. Yay for the win. More zinnias. Lots of zinnias. Amaranth. Nepeta. Just tons of seedlings. and they are outgrowing their soil blocks. They are desperate to get in the ground, so that's going to start happening this week. Lemon basil, I need some water. Ageratum, a couple varieties. Gomphrena, coxcombs. These guys are cucumbers. They're huge. Same with all of these. They need to get up potted. These guys are going to go out when I do clean out of all of the succulent containers, which I'll make a separate video on. Clean out, repot, and refresh. They all go by the pool. Here's celosia and all the different grasses. Ooh, these guys are really dry. They need water. Highlander grass, etc., etc. And then these are for the curated vegetable box seedling sale. So there's like tatsoi and chard and crazy cilantro, just huge. Those plants got huge. Sunflower successions, which are, these guys are too far gone to plant at this point, but that's okay. I have so many sunflowers ready to go in the ground. More veggies for the curated boxes. The summer vegetable box is scheduled for mid-May, but I think I'm going to bump it up and do it beginning of May. So all of these are going to go into cow pots, ready to go right in the ground. Here's all the tomatoes. Yeah, so everything in here needs a water. And I think I'll do that, and then we'll complete the tour. Okay, I just did a watering of everything in the greenhouse. It's time to move on. Fig tree, got in loading up with figs. There's one right there. There's some others. Those aren't shaded by leaves though. There's a bunch on there. So hopefully we'll get them this year before the birds and squirrels do. This container I planted up earlier in the season, just full of violas. Look at all those pretty colors. Volunteer freesia, still producing. This freesia cracks me up because when we changed this fig into a new pot because it had outgrown its other one, I cleared away the root ball. The freesia, I guess, was there still anyway and hung on, and so now it's back. But the fig tree doesn't seem to mind having it. More containers. Obviously these tulips, done. Need to come out of these and just get composted. Need to do some cleanup there, but those guys will stay okay for a while. That will end up being full of summer annuals at some point. Beets that just aren't doing much, and that's fine. I'll pull those out. Lavender, looking amazing. This is a macrophylla hydrangea, which produces really beautiful flowers. This is a funny hodgepodge. Violas, obviously, but then also those are chrysanthemums from the fall. I cut them back to nothing and left them in the pot. There is a delphinium right in the middle. So we'll see how that comes out. This is my Meyer lemon. Oh my goodness, guys. I can't explain to you how happy this makes me because this tree has suffered so hard. You can see the yellow leaves still. So it's time for another iron treatment. It didn't produce anything last year or the year before. Now it is loaded with blossoms. So I must be doing something right. This is our avocado, which still needs to find a home in the ground somewhere. It's literally been in this pot its entire life since we found it half sprouting out of an actual pit in a real avocado. The citrus still needs to be planted. Here, there's another Meyer lemon, and that's the Mexican lime. I want to get rid of all that heavenly bamboo behind it. The geraniums, looking really pretty. And then this is how huge this Japanese maple gets. And that was severely pruned in the fall, if you remember seeing that. But look, it's gigantic. I love it, but it really does block the view from inside the house, and it's hard to get out that door sometimes. We have to keep it really hardly pruned during the summer. So it really should be in a different location, but I know that we'd never be able to save it because the size of the trunk, and it's right next to the concrete. So I know when we pull it out, it's going to die. Another Meyer lemon loaded with lemons. We'd like to get rid of this thing too, do something else with this bed. But so over here in the perennial cottage garden, you can see some progress here. We've got our red rooster grass. There's some, oh, look at this Aquilegia. That's pretty awesome. That's about to be foxglove, and we have some down the row already. But look at the lupins are doing great. We've got calendula planted in here, and marigolds from last year, and also mums. Dusty Miller, you can see how everything is just really grown up. So here's another place where I need to do a lot of deadheading, getting rid of the dead flowers, spent flowers from all the spring bulbs. Silver Mound Artemisia coming back. Also, we need to mow this grass really desperately and do some edging so that you can actually see the edging plants. But look at all the foxglove and that first glorious stalk. Pretty sure this is the apricot Dalmatian, I think it's called. So pretty. Multiple stalks here. So these I planted from seed. They just get huge. That Dusty not doing too well. I'll probably just pull that guy out. We have to readdress the irrigation in this bed because it's on sprinklers, but I think the sprinklers get blocked by the tall plants and it makes it hard for everything to get water, especially the grass. More Aquilegia blooming. Look at that one. That's just loaded. And then these are iris. I think they're black-suited iris. So I can't wait to see what those look like when they come along. Nemesia, doing its job and spreading itself around. We've got another beautiful foxglove here. Got some African daisy in the background. All this Gara is going to be really pretty when it blooms. That Dusty doing great. Oh, we've got some Liatris coming up back there. So it's kind of a mishmash here in this cottage garden, and I kind of like it that way. This is California poppy. It's not open yet because it's not fully in full sun. The leaves on these guys are a little orange, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm going to have to do some research. It might be fine. This one's going to open too. This variety is called Jelly Bean, so their flowers are kind of all different colors. Here's a pink one. Sweet Alyssum, spreading like it's supposed to, smelling amazing. So it looks like there's a lot of weeds in here, and some of them are weeds, but I let things go for a while in this garden because everything self-seeds, and so I want to be sure before I pull stuff out. I do recognize some bittercress that needs to come out. That's easy. There's a snowberry. The salvias are coming back. There's some yarrow hiding back there next to that giant foxglove. These are more black-suited iris. Ooh, here's one. Flower spike. Can't wait to see those. This is my first time growing these. Look at this Nemesia. Just exploded. Nemesia smells amazing too. It smells very sweet, like honey. Nepeta, cat's pajamas. Got a flower spike going on there. And some of the daffodils are still producing, but I am going to come in here and deadhead to make it look prettier. Back here, that needs to go. Giant thistle. I should have taken it out a while ago, but it is so prickly. It's very painful, so I need to get in there and literally dig the whole thing out. Delphiniums coming on. We've got a few bachelor buttons in here and some snapdragons just spread throughout because I had extras. I need to deadhead this guy, but aren't those flowers beautiful? Back in the back here, we've got more foxglove, buddleia that I grew from cuttings, and all along the back, hollyhocks. Now those got planted last year, so I'm hoping this year, since they're biennials, we'll actually get flower stalks from them. And then these containers, oh, that's exciting. Okay, so these containers have violas. That is a Thunbergia seedling. I thought that they wouldn't come up at all. I see another one there. I don't know if you saw that video. Ooh, this desperately needs water, but Thunbergia is a climbing vine, and that I planted intentionally there to climb up those stakes, so now it might happen. More Dusty, look at how pretty this osteospermum is. All this needs to be deadheaded. Helichrysum spreading, and here's more of those jelly bean poppies. It's California poppy, just a different variety. Got lamb's ear in here. And remember, as the summer goes on, all of the foliage for these bulbs will die back, and you will have a different look here. Roses. Lots and lots of buds on these roses. Looks like I already need to tie up some of the new growth. Look at that. These also have some aphids, but that's okay. I just spray them off with water. But those ones up front, I will cut those stalks off. Okay, also, limelight hydrangea. It was real tiny when we planted it, so I need to weed around it. Here's another limelight. It's got a cleavers stuck in with it. There we go. I will come in here with the shears and trim around it. Probably mulch around it too. Here's the rose. Tons of blooms. Oh yeah, this guy's really aphid eaten. Probably cut that back. More roses. And then here's the succulent kingdom that needs to get completely cleaned up, repotted. That's going to be its own video. More containers full of ranunculus. See, these are all falling over because they got so heavy. These are the ones that are going to come into the house, but there's still plenty here to harvest. And those rudbeckia still coming along. Look at this. I gotta cut all that down, but they're gonna make a beautiful vase in the house. So that's it for phase 1 of the April garden tour. The next couple days I'll spend time cleaning up, and then I'll take you on a quick run through to see how it looks. Hopefully it'll look a little bit better, a little bit more cleaned up, but definitely everything's starting to pop. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.